soon as I put on live, there's got to be a car squealing its tires around outside. I keep on doing these lives and I'm trying to download them so you can watch them later, and it's not working. I was talking about Johnny Gaudreau. It was a great conversation I was having with myself because nobody was listening, but it wouldn't download. It's really pissing me off. All my other lives work, and now these ones don't work at all. Anyways, I'm going to send this out to the land. Hey, how you doing, everybody? I'm just sharing the live to the land here. And where did we go? So that's right. I want to share the live. So I got to find the live. Sharing the live. I'm going to share with all my Patreon people. Copy link, Patreon. Hey, who's there? Let me know who you are. Talking whatever you want to talk about, but I'm talking rumors about, like, say, still what's going on with the Toronto Maple Leafs, what's Pittsburgh going to do, what's Calgary. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on with Calgary, what they're going to do now. You guys don't want to talk about that? No. All right. Okay, bye. Just leave then. Leave. I don't care. Where else are we send this to? How about the Twitter? We'll do the Twitter for this fine live. Hello, how you doing? I'm just sharing my live. I'm going to talk about whatever you want to. Give me your team, and we'll talk about your team. Tell me who your team is there. We'll talk about your team. See if anybody comes. Probably everybody's out having a good time, forgetting about sports. I'm thinking. Oh yeah, I might as well just talk about stuff because this could become a video. and then nobody's already probably going to watch it anyways. But continued discussion. I was just talking to a Calgary Flame fan who says, get rid of everybody. I can't remember. Get rid of Hamonic, somebody else. But one of the players he said to keep is Milan Lucic. Excuse me. See, even my physical self hiccups when I try to say the name. Milan Lucic. He said he wanted to keep him, and that it was his favorite Flame. That's that's a thing. I don't know what. I don't know. I just. How is that a favorite Flame? How is that possible? Maybe he did some good things out on the off the ice to people or something like that, and said nice things or something, and made him feel good or something. But I certainly can't be because of how he performs on the ice. That's for sure. Cannot imagine that be the case. One of my friends here is we've had a lot of Islanders fans, so let's talk about the Islanders for a bit. I'm going to bring them up on Cap Friendly here. We'll talk about you can't seriously just go on a system your whole existence, can you? I know Barry Trotz is a great coach, and I don't think he's going to get this team past Philadelphia. And I don't think this team will ever win a cup the way it's built and the way it's being built, regardless of how fantastic Barry Trotz is as a coach. So what exactly do you think they will what do we think that the Islanders should do? I mean, Barzal is going to get better. Barzal is going to get better for sure, right? You know that. He's still young. That's good. You've got Barzal. Wonderful. Anders Lee is getting $7 million a year till 2026. He's 30 years old. He's not getting better. He's not bad. He's a 25 goal scorer, good leader, captain, stuff like that. Not bad guy to have in your team. Jordan Eberle is 30 years old. He's making 5.5, which is all the money for him. 30 to 40 point player, 50 to 50 point player, 55 point player. He should not be your top right winger on your team, really, depending on the makeup of your team. But with Anders Lee as your top left, not really. Beauvillier is coming around at 23 years old. It looks like he might be a 50, 60 point player set there. Brock Nelson plays a solid game. Most good teams, he would be a third line center. He's playing on as a second line center here. Josh Bailey can play up and down the lineup. Great defensive player, underrated in his defensive play. But again, on a good team now at this stage of his career, he should be probably a third liner. Then you've got Leo Komarov, Pageau, and this has Johnson, who's either Otto Koivula or Derek Brassard or Michael Del Cole, who is scratched again at a 24-year-old player getting scratched again in this league. He's almost on his way out. And how much do they have to come up? Kiefer Bellows looks like he might be a bust. At the age of 22, he's not even close to a point a game in the AHL. And besides that, there's nothing really to write home about. Oh, I'm sorry, there is another one. Why do they not have him there? Anyways, he'll come to me. They have a couple, Oliver Wahlstrom. Still consider him a prospect. He looks like he's going to be at least a third line center in this league. Not bad. But they don't have much else out there. There may be a guy or two that surprises and comes in here in this lineup. Bode Wild does look pretty darn good as a defenseman. their defense coming up is adequate, I suppose, with Sebastian Aho maybe being able to play next year finally at 24 years old. Noah Dobson, of course, they've been grooming lightly in the NHL and probably will be a very good defenseman. But besides that, not much in there. And unbelievably, because of Andrew Ladd contracts at $6 million a year for a while, and a couple other, and basically a lot of players making in that $4 to $5 million range. Some bad contracts like Boychuk, who's been injured all the time, making $6 million a year for a while. This team is kind of strapped on what it can do. Not to mention, they gave up picks to get Pajot, who I didn't mention. $5 million a year for 6 years for Gabriel Pajot, to me, is a little steep, especially on term, mostly because he's not really adding what you need to this team. They need somebody to play with Barzal, an actual goal scorer that they seem to be just not concerned about. They just don't care if they have a top scorer or not. That's probably not the case, but it's like Lamoriello almost has that way about him where he just wants to fill the lineup with as much depth as he can and get scoring by committee. And I'm just not sure that works in the NHL today. I think more than anything, you're seeing it with Vancouver. When you have high percentage shooters, you can beat a lot of teams and get outplayed. And that's the problem with the Islanders, is that if they get outplayed, if they have a bad game, or they don't play their system to a T, they can get beat and quite often can't outscore themselves back into it. Now, in Philadelphia, they got up 3-0 and then allowed them back in, which is worrisome for Philadelphia in this series because the Islanders are usually not a team that are able to bail themselves out with scoring after they get down. So what do? That's a very good question. I mean, that's a question I'm asking myself, and I'm not really sure how to answer the question. Because as far as defense is concerned, Pelech, Pulock, Taves, and Mayfield is maybe slightly above average when you compare them in the league. But you can't really get rid of anybody because you don't have much coming up. Getting rid of the Zach Boychuk contract would be fantastic. When is that over with? 2022. It will be gone here in 2 years, but they need somebody now. I would buy out Zach Boychuk the final 2 years of his contract. Might give you a little bit. I could see them do it. Maybe they'll do something like that. He's not, and then you got the Ladd contract. Can we buy that out? 2023. One of those contracts. And then that should give you the cap space to maybe go out and get a free agent or hold on and see what falls off the tree in expansion. It's possible that the Islanders could wait till expansion, and there could be some really darn good players going to be available because they're going to be their teams are going to have to trade players so they don't lose players for nothing. And maybe that's what Lamoriello is, very patient, and he could be looking at something like that. He doesn't want to sign free agents this year. Oh, good, Kevin, an Islanders fan. First person to come on. I've been talking here for 15 minutes and nobody's come on. I just thought I'd throw this up there. Yeah, I was just talking about the Islanders and the issues that they have. I mean, you can only play with the system for so long. Like, not really so long. It'll take you a long ways. But they need a score, for sure. Lee was a scorer when he was playing with Tavares. He could score 40 goals a year. And Barzal will eventually be that good. but they need a scorer on that team now. So tell me what you think, Kevin. Would we buy out Boychuk or Ladd? And trying to see what their cap space is for next year. And I'm using my phone because I can't figure out how to. He can put the puck in the net, all right. I mean, but he's a great player. He's a great passer, and more reason why they need a scorer. So he has somebody to pass to, right? Um, what's their salary situation for next year? Cap space, 8 million for next year, but you have to sign Barzal, right? Barzal's not signed yet. Yeah, you got to sign Barzal, and you're already capped out. You don't sign Kunackle. Maybe you can buy out Ladd or Boychuk. Find a home for Komarov, and hopefully you can find a home for 3 million for Komarov. Somebody might bite, maybe. um, and that'll give you maybe another 7 or 8 million to find a scorer out there. Unfortunately, you don't have draft picks to trade. That's why I didn't really like giving up that much for Pajot, because Pajot doesn't solve their problem. He's not really what you call a scorer. And this is the thing with Lamoriello. He likes, it's almost like he doesn't care about scores. He just wants to get Pajot type guys all through his lineup and score by committee. And now Barry Trotz can turn a team like that into a pretty darn good team. But I think in this league now, you're asking too much for that to be the case. You know, what do you think, Kevin, if you're still there? Did you take off on me? Anyways, for anybody else, if this does go out, because I've been having problems when I do these lives for them to go get uploaded or downloaded or whatever to go on my page on YouTube. So I haven't posted anything for a while. But some players that may be out there, maybe Dadonov. I heard Goudreau was no, Kevin, you were saying. Okay, Kevin, you were saying about Goudreau. Now, Goudreau isn't really what you call a scorer either. And I didn't get to finish talking about that. I'm not sure what they'd be able to give up. They don't have draft picks. I don't think that they're going to be very happy with somebody like Bailey in that deal, taking that much contract back, because I'm pretty sure they're going to sign Taylor Hall. So they're going to be looking for prospects and draft picks. And I just don't see those things in the Islanders lineup unless they're going to give up Oliver Wahlstrom. Again, Brock Nelson makes $6 million a year. I don't think they're going to want to take money back. And Goudreau is only making $6 million a year. That's the problem. That is an interesting case, though. I think packaging Brock Nelson might not be a bad idea. Brock Nelson probably has value out there. They don't really need a cent. They don't need him now that they have Pajot. Maybe the Pajot move was for the purpose of moving somebody like Brock Nelson and using Pajot as your second line center, which isn't super ideal either. But you also have Wahlstrom coming up, although he's taking his sweet ass time to come up. He's not developing very fast. But to get a winger and use a centerman, Brock Nelson might be a pretty good play. He's making 5.5 million. It's not a horrible contract till he's 35. He is a very useful player. I just think that the Islanders have too many players like him. So, but on the other hand, there could be a lot of teams out there that could use a player like him that don't have, like I'm thinking the Edmonton Oilers, or sorry, the Toronto Maple Leafs could use a player like him. Um, if the Kapanen trade didn't already happen, that would be a thought, because they certainly could use a center like that. Um, Let me look at a few other teams out there that maybe Brock Nelson would be valuable to. The Buffalo Sabres could use somebody like Brock Nelson. They definitely could use a second line center like that. Thomas Greiss' contract, yeah, but he's already off the books, and that still only leaves him with 8 million. So it doesn't take more off the books. It just means that you still have $8 million next year with Greiss already out. So it's not adding more. You won't be re-signing Greiss. There's no doubt about that. They're going to be going with your kid there. Why do I want to say Sikora? You know who I'm talking about. Tell me what his name is. The Russian goaltender that they've been waiting and waiting and waiting for. And it kind of looks like they went and got Varlamov to appease him. He better turn out because they invested a lot in this kid, like crazy. Not Varlamov. The young player you got coming up. The Islanders have coming up. Where's the Islanders? Where are you, New York Islanders? Sorokin, something like that. Yeah, Sorokin, Ilya Sorokin. He's been in playing. He's 25 now. They want him to. He's coming over, and they're going to want him to play right away at 25 years old. He's put up killer numbers in Russia, but it took forever for them to get him over here. It seems like what he did is he played for the money in Russia, and now he's got enough, so he's going to come over to the NHL. And they've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And part of the reason why they didn't take Lehner and they took Varlamov, I believe, is so they had two Russian goaltenders. Sorokin will have an easier. It's not a bad idea because how much Lehner, for one, doesn't seem like a teacher type. You know what I mean? And Varlamov speaks Russian, can help the kid a lot more than probably Lehner would be able to do. I think it took a long time for them to say to Lehner, okay, we're taking Varlamov at $5 million a year, because Lehner is an unbelievable goaltender. It wasn't an easy decision, I don't think. But once they kind of thought it through, they went out and got Varlamov for a lot of money. They gave Varlamov a lot of money. 4 years. He's 32 years old. He's going to be 36 at the end of this contract at 5.5. So this Sorokin kid better pan out. And it looks like he probably will. He's put up wicked numbers. So you don't really have to worry about your Russian. You don't have to worry about that. It'll be really nice when Boychuk comes off the books. But, okay, let's say we buy out Ladd and Buffalo is really looking to shore up, especially up the middle. They're looking at trading their 8th overall pick, but I don't think they're going to do that to get Brock Nelson. It would be one hell of a deal if the Islanders could get Buffalo's 8th overall for Brock Nelson. Woo! That would be great. I don't think they're going to do. I don't think you're going to get that though. I think there's a lot of players out of Buffalo that might work out because you're really just wanting to get rid of cap space, right? So you're going to maybe take a chance with some of the players like Middlestat, who was a first pick. top 10 pick and hasn't panned out in Buffalo. I think they started him a little young and he lost his confidence. Uh, Maybe take a middle stat in a second or third or something like that pick to get Brock Nelson off the cap, and then look for some free agent wingers out there. Uh, which the one that comes to mind, yeah, the games are happening tomorrow, from what I understand. That's why I put the Tampa Bay pick up there, Johnny, and I'm still sticking with that Philadelphia pick. We're talking Islanders right now, uh, but as far as I know, games are playing tomorrow. There's going to be an afternoon game. That'll be the Boston Tampa Bay game. Um, I think Tampa gained confidence in that last Boston game, and I think they found some holes in Halak, and I think they're going to win that game. The Islanders could win. I mean, you can't really. Barry Trotz is a genius. Once I said before the series, if Philadelphia plays like they did against Montreal, the Islanders would destroy them. And I'm a Philadelphia fan, so. But if the Philadelphia last game played how Philadelphia can play, they were using speed through the neutral zone, and they have the size to use that speed and cause the Islanders' defense a lot of problems. I like Pulak. Pellich has actually, turned out to be a very good goaltender. Nick Leddy can get the puck out of the zone pretty quick, and Taves is also underrated. After that, but the whole makeup of the defense to me is lacking. They could still use a lot, they could use a number one or two. All of them, maybe none of them are really number one or two. I would logic would say it would be under. Is it 5? Because I lost on the under last time, right? It's weird how the games have been played. Now I'm afraid to put an under on that. Let me look up on my Bet365 here. Lines, game lines. It's under 5, yeah. I mean, logic would. Hey, this is E-money, everybody. E-money. E-money. Washington Capitals fan on the Money podcast. Check it out. You can find it on Anchor. You can find it on. Tell him, Evan, what you can find all your podcast stuff on. Evan's one of the best podcasters I've ever heard. I love him, especially when he gets on a rant. Evan's rants are freaking legendary. They're amazing. Love his stuff. He's great. Thanks for being on here. Anchor, Spotify, and Apple. There you go. He's fantastic. Hopefully when we get the website going, Evan, we can have your stuff on there. Yeah, Evan can rant. He's one of the best. We're talking about the Islanders today, but we can talk some Capitals if you want to. Yeah. They can't let the Isles play scrappy. They got it. The Isles, the biggest key to Trot's system is speed through the neutral zone. You can't be afraid to get to have the Islanders catch you every once in a while. You got to be going fast through the neutral zone. If you are not going fast through the neutral zone and in which case they force you to take a few chances. But if you do little flip passes and stuff like that, in the neutral zone to take their sticks away, you can beat them actually fairly easy. That's easier said than done. It takes a lot of skill to beat that system. Okay, ask E-Money if Barry Trotz is the best coach in the league. I think he knows. I think everybody knows who I think the best coach in the league is. Top 5 coaches in the league? That's tough. Off the top of my head, I agree. Tortorella is the best in the league. Barry Trotz second. Elliot, how you doing, buddy? Welcome. We're talking about some island. Right now, we're talking about the top 5 coaches in the league, but we were talking about Islanders. Yeah, NHL tomorrow. We were talking. So we're going top 5 coaches in the league right now. Mine is Torts, Trotz. You think Sullivan, really? I'm not sure I'd put Sullivan there. I think Green, Vancouver, uh, Julian, and who's the fifth? Maybe Sullivan. There's a few that are like really close in that fifth spot. Bednar. Bednar is a great coach. Tippett. You put Tippett there. Cassidy, yeah, yeah. Cassidy's a fantastic coach. That Boston defensive system is freaking phenomenal. I think Tampa Bay's going to beat it. Cooper's pretty underrated just because he has a great team and he flubbed. They flubbed once. Lundqvist wants to coach. That wouldn't be a bad idea. I like. I think Lundqvist could be a great coach. The only thing is he's so bloody emotional, but he could probably create emotion in the room. And yeah, I wouldn't. 7-1, yeah. And the thing is, usually after that happens, and my Bo B, Boric, he brought up a really good point. Um, Boston's a very emotional team, and this whole thing happened in the United States. They're very family orientated, and it's possible that their minds weren't in it. It's possible, but I think Tampa also had that same. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with them or not, but it was an interesting lean, anyways. But that's kind of what I wonder about taking Tampa tomorrow because usually when there's a blowout, like especially with Boston, they're going to be coming out with pride. So I got Tampa ML, Flyers ML. Joel. Backup goalie's too young. He's just a kid, Vladdy. He's probably going to be a great goaltender, but I mean, what a debut. Come in the playoffs after you're already been shellacked, and oh man, that was a tough spot. That's why Halak was so upset afterwards because he didn't want to do that to the kid. Yeah, he was thrown to the fire for sure. Not really. It's not. Can't. I mean, he is just a kid. Seriously, that was like, wasn't that his first game in the NHL? Man, that's a bad spot to be in. And yeah, not a good tone. The kid went in there and he sacrificed for Halak to get a little more rest. But I think Halak would have rather stayed in there and taken it. That might not be a bad idea for Grice to play. I think I agree with Elliot that Varlamov will probably turn it around. Uh, I'm not sure it was, the Islanders didn't play their best game, and a lot of that was the fact that Philly played their game, and the Islanders they forced the Islanders to really play their game at its top level. And really, no team in the playoffs so far has really done that to the Islanders. Washington really very seldom made them play to their top level. Florida certainly didn't. And Philadelphia made them play to their top level. So now they're going to have to come back and up their game. And it's possible the Islanders do. When I say Philly ML, when I'm betting in the playoffs, these are leans. I don't really like betting much in the playoffs. I have to give picks to people, and we'll have some ball picks tomorrow too. Uh, the whole thing that happened in the United States has affected Joe Bork quite a bit for personal reasons. So we kind of let him have his 2 days, and I had my 2 days, and I've enjoyed it. And we'll be back at her with ball picks tomorrow. So I thought Philly looked good. I thought Philly looked good. I mean, there was parts of their game possibly, maybe not, but it certainly was the best game they played this playoffs that I've seen. Do I think they could play better? Yeah, I've seen Philly play better than that, but um, um, I don't. Toronto won't let it happen again. I mean, it's not like he let it happen necessarily. I mean, I don't know. If I think Philly's best game is better than the Islanders' best game. And I think Trott's system that he put in there is probably one of the best in the league, top two in the league. But their players playing it are not top two in the league by a long shot. Um, Trotz showed you what he would do with the team if you gave it to him in Washington, an actual team where you have actual great players on that team. Trotz is going to win you cups. He can almost win you a cup with a lineup that isn't that average or above average at best. His system can actually how he works his system with this team can actually win you a cup. That's why I say Barry Trotz and Tortorella's first, Trotz second, because both of those teams, both of those coaches can bring teams to areas that they shouldn't be going to. When Trotz was in Nashville made the playoffs several times, and they had no business being there. On paper, they were not a playoff team. So I've loved him ever since then. I love Barry Trotz. I say he's my man crush. I think Tortorella is the best coach in the league, but Barry Trotz is my favorite coach in the league. I love Barry Trotz a lot. Like as a human being, as a teacher, as a mentor, as a coach, as everything. He's fantastic. Yeah, probably. Probably. The Islanders' biggest problem was not the problem that day. They did come back and win and score, which is concerning for Philadelphia because the Islanders are not a team that usually comes back when they're down. They're usually a team that gets ahead right away and keeps that lead. So there is the problem. That's where Philadelphia didn't play the greatest, a half a period in the third, something like that. If they don't clean that up, yeah, any team's going to beat you for sure. I would have to agree with you for sure. They got a fantastic fourth line. I don't know if I would go the best fourth line on paper, anyways, but I love that fourth line for sure. It does a lot of damage, and it wasn't just because of Barry Trotz that that's the case. Before Barry Trotz, that fourth line was always great. Clutterbuck, Martin, and Cizikas. Yeah, great Cizikas could play on the third line anywhere, but they do their job well, for sure. Trying to think of other teams that might have a fourth line that is comparable. Probably Tampa Bay. Uh, Probably you'd have to put Tampa Bay there. Let's look at Tampa's fourth line. I do love that fourth line though because it's a true fourth line. Like it's always played as a fourth line, but they still play many minutes. But they play exactly what a fourth line should play. Uh, Either Mitchell Stevens, Verheeg, Paquette, and Maroon is a damn good fourth line. But yeah, I didn't even know ball was going on tonight. I've been so far away from sports today. I kind of took 2 days and I did a little live this morning and stuff like that. For the most part, I kind of let my mind just stay off, turn off for a while. Building this Patreon and with my 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 big butt, my best bud, my BB Brian deciding to opt out. It's been and Joe coming in. It's been a good time to just take a break and reflect a little bit. And this whole thing that happened in the United States, it's a very sad thing, sad for everybody involved. Uh, but it did give me some time for a break, so that was cool. Anyways, fourth lines. What other fourth lines are there that are great? You got the Lightning too, Elliot? Yeah. You're reflecting on your losses. Elliot, you're always losing. I told you, you come over and you'd say, okay, send me the link, and you never do. So I'm not going to tell you anymore, but you probably are a killer capper and you're just being humble. You probably win like so much money. It's crazy. You come over there and learn some more, teach us something. The best cappers always say they lose all the time. The best cappers. I'm not able to do that because I'm doing it for people. I'm not really betting hardly any of my own money. So in order for me to promote myself, I really have to say that I'm good at what I do. But if I wasn't doing that, yeah, you're like a killer capper, Elliot. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. I'm just thinking, what other best fourth lines are there? The Carolina Hurricanes are building a fourth line that's pretty sweet. If I remember correctly here. Martinuk and Nietzsche's on the fourth line. That is pretty damn good. And then they got this Morgan Geeky kid who should play higher. It won't be long before their fourth line is going to be Jordan Stahl, Martinuk, and Nietzsche's. Or Niederreiter, or wow. Brock McGinn. Brock McGinn, Jordan Stahl, and Jordan Martin. That is one killer fourth line. Oh, great. You join Ricketts, but you don't join me. Ricketts is great. I can give you the link here. Where's my remote? It's not the link though. Mm. Oh, that's not. That's the embedded link. Shit. Oops. Oh well. That should bring you there though. I don't know. Can you use your Venmo card to pay? I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. I won't post. Okay, where the hell is that simple link? See, I'm terrible with that's why Joe takes care of most of the stuff because I am not good at uh, link. No, that's not what I want. Anyways, I can't find it. I don't know why I can't find the link on the Patreon site again. So it's just Patreon and my NHL Pearls of Wisdom, and it's right there. Just download Patreon. But you were taking a Colorado game under, as in like the Avalanche game, or Colorado Rockies. I didn't know that baseball was even playing today. I'm sorry. We probably should have posted pics on Patreon. Uh, I had no idea. I was told that there wasn't any, and I haven't been using my. I haven't been checking anything because I assumed that they were not playing. I don't watch TV. I never watch the news. I stay far away from the news as I possibly can. So, uh, yeah. What are you happy about? Mets beat oh, you're a Mets fan? Mets beat the Yankees? Wow. Mariners are gonna beat LA. See, I remember I told you, I said I wouldn't bet baseball anyways, because with all this confusion, you don't know what the hell's gonna happen. Wow. What's going on with the Yankees? It's voodoo out there. It's voodoo out there in baseball and, well, sort of hockey too. That's why I don't really do much baseball right now because, like, I'm I'm very good at hockey, and it's been a grind getting hockey picks this year. I'm still up. We're still up, like, pretty good, but it's been hard to be up, I'll tell you that. Yeah, Mariners beating LA is pretty like I said, there's gonna be so much emotion out there right now that I wouldn't have bet on the baseball games today anyways, honestly, even if I would've known they were playing. Yeah, it's been difficult. I can't wait till the regular season already. As far as capping is concerned, the regular season is much easier to cap to begin with, and hopefully things are back to normal back then. Then that's when the real capping, that's when the real money happens. Yeah, might be a good idea. I'll look at MLB in the morning. We'll look at the MLB in the morning. Um, Joe might even send him out like before we even talk about him. He's had lots of time to look at it now. Probably a good idea. Like I said, yeah, it's not a bad idea. When crazy shit like is going on like that, it becomes much more of an even playing field, I would think. All the games are pretty much a coin flip. So if you're going to flip coins for winners, you might as well take the dog money. That's a good idea. Like sometimes crazy shit happens in the NHL. Not that crazy, I guess, but stuff that affects the whole league in a way. And I'll usually go with the dogs in. Well, Kevin, I don't think you're a Patreon member, so I really should person for my live. Feel like you would support us if I helped you out a little bit somewhere down the road. So um, I'm leaning the Flyers tomorrow, but I'm not putting heavy units on it by any stretch. Light units. Okay. Okay. Light units on the Flyers. I don't think like I could see the Islanders winning any game, really. Um, that's why I made like I took the Islanders all through the first two rounds. Florida games, every game, even though they lost one, I lost that one. But Washington, same thing. I knew the Islanders were going to destroy Washington. Washington has no continuity on that team at all. But Philly, I think it might end here. I have Philly in 7 for the series. I thought it was going to go 7 games. So I think Philly will win, but yeah, you don't bet your teams. Do you have more than one team in the NHL or just the Islanders? Do you have a team in the West too? I'm an Oilers fan and a Philly fan, so as you already know. So. I don't like betting. Like if I use my actual money, but I bet so little that it doesn't really matter to me. Like I'll bet against the Oilers, but I'll be rooting for the Oilers, and if they win, I lose my money. I couldn't give a shit. Seriously, that's how low I bet. Because if I bet money that actually matters to me, I can't cap anymore. I'm terrible capper. As soon as I start getting nervous about what I'm capping, I no longer cap well. You're an Oilers fan too? Islanders, Oilers. Wow. You like those old 80s teams, eh? Those were great teams. The Islanders and the Oilers in that 80s era. Mike Bossy, Trottier, mm, Dennis Potvin, Smith. Uh, why do I always Tortorelli? Uh, just friggin' awesome team. And then, of course, the Oilers, maybe the best team ever assembled. There's a big debate about that. Was that Oilers team the best team ever assembled? Those teams, I don't know. Honestly, it's really hard to say. There's so many great teams, but Mark Messier and Wayne Gretzky as your top two centers, that's got to be the best ever, right? Has there ever been Crosby Malkin? I still take Gretzky Messier over Crosby Malkin, honestly. I don't think there's ever been two top two centers better than that. That's got to be the best ever for sure. At least John Tonelli and uh, Trottier was great, but not even close to that, I would say. Stevie Eisenman and Sergei Fedorov or Datsuk, that's getting there. That's getting close. That was incredible. Those Detroit teams too. Brian Leach. Everybody loves Brian Leach. He was a great. He's amazing defenseman. Why am I yawning so much? It's not even that late, for the love of God. I slept like crazy last night. Here I am yawning away. Uh, yeah, I love Brian Leach. Um, it's too bad he didn't get a cup, right? He never did get a cup anywhere he went. Where did he go to get a cup at the end there? wanna say St. Louis? No. Toronto? Toronto. Yeah, Toronto, and, that didn't work out. But, it's too bad. Like, I hate seeing great players like that. My favorite he Brian Leetch, though, isn't even my favorite Ranger defenseman of all time, although probably my second, but Brad Park. Brad Park was my favorite of all time, for sure. My dad says Brad Park was the second best defenseman ever to play the game. That's what he says. My dad, Bobby Orr, then Brad Park, he says. So my dad watched a lot of hockey, so he was a great defenseman. I don't know if I'd go that far, but my dad swears up and down he's the best, second best defenseman he ever saw play. So I wore number 5 for who? Who did I wear number 5 for, Kevin? I wore number 5 my whole time I played hockey. What player was it that I wore that for? I was a defenseman. That's all the hints I'm gonna give you there. Anyways, we were talking about while you're thinking about that, we were talking about top 5 coaches. Are you still there? Uh, I'm wondering if, E-Money's still there. Are you still there, E-Money? Still holding on in here, buddy? Chime in. Uh, top 5 oh, yeah, that's right, the 5th one of the top 5 coaches. Dude enough to top him. Oh, Pete DeBoer. Sorry, Pete DeBoer. Pete DeBoer is my 5th. So that's hey, Yoshis, how you doing, dear? Yeah, Yoshis always comes in here. It's freaking awesome. She was here this morning too. I had to leave her. I had to say bye. And she was asking me, could you please talk more hockey? Uh, Dennis Potvin. Absolutely. That's exactly. Yeah. I for number Dennis Potvin was my favorite defenseman at that time of that era. I loved him. Uh, so then and at that time, I mean, I was a Toronto fan when I was really young, but I was mostly an Oilers fan. You think I would wear Paul Coffey's number, but I like Potvin more because I thought Potvin was the most. I thought it was the most complete defenseman of that era. Like everybody talks about Ray Bork, and they should because he was fantastic, and uh, Niedermeyer, who was also fantastic. Potvin was a little bit before them, but maybe not Ray Bork. But I thought Dennis Potvin was the most complete player. He was tough. He could score. He was great defensively. Like, I don't know. I don't think he gets enough credit for how great of a defenseman he was. They don't talk about him when you talk about like the top 5 greatest defensemen of all time, and I think I'd put him there. So my top 5 coaches then are in the league: Barry Trotz, or sorry, Tortorella, Trotz, um, already leaving me now. Pete DeBoer, Green, and maybe Bednar. Very underrated. He's a Hall of Famer and he's underrated Hall of Famer. Like people just don't talk about him, and I don't know why. Why? He put up huge numbers. He did everything a player could do. Apparently, he was kind of a jerk off the ice or something. I don't know about that, but on the ice, he's as good as any of the defensemen that I've ever seen. I mean, Nicholas Lidstrom, no, of that era, but besides that, Raymond Bourque, I'd put Raymond Bourque and Dennis Potvin in the same stratosphere, same field, same. But people talk about Raymond Bourque like and never do I hear people talk about Dennis Potvin or Brad Park for that matter. Brian Trottier was best what? Best center? No. But I don't know where you put Brian Trottier. I mean, he's one of the greatest centers, all best style. Yeah, probably. Either Dennis Potvin or Brian Trottier. You could make a case for both. But Brian Trottier was probably the best lead. He was a leader. Did he ever win a Selkie? He should have won a Selkie. Such an amazing two-way center. Did he ever win a Selkie? Problem is he was there with he scored too much for the time. They like to give it to like Guy Carbonneaus and uh, what's his name? The other Montreal Canadian that is an awesome defensive player too. But I don't think so. Awards. Hey, never won a Selkie, and that's crazy because he was an incredible defensive center. But they used to give it to Bob Gainey and uh, who was a great defensive center. But I mean, I don't think Trottier was any less, and he scored a lot. So Guy Carbonneau, they used to give it to guys like that back then, guys that didn't score a lot but played well defensively. And then it was in the '90s or something that Fedorov and uh, Datsuk and guys like that started getting this. They started giving the Selkie to more offensive players like Bergeron, but never gave one to Crosby. Although Crosby's probably the best defensive player in the league, besides maybe Bergeron, like equal. Crosby was, but because he scored a lot, always ended up giving it to Bergeron or somebody like that instead. Not to mention he'd have all the other awards already, so it'd make for a kind of a boring award show. Stamkos was is it a shoulder that keeps on getting hurt again? Sort of like what's happening with Tarasenko in St. Louis. Third shoulder surgery. His career might be over. You have 3 surgeries on your shoulder. Ouch. It might be it. Um, that's what I like about you, Kevin. You keep on making me look up what's going on. Core muscle injury. And this injury has been had him out for a long time. So I don't know exactly what happened in the core there or muscle, whatever, but serious shit. He must have tore a core muscle. And he, I don't know, he's getting to the end of his career and he's injured all the time. So I don't know what's going to happen there. So there's a guy that should have, who's underrated defensively too, and people. He's just got such a good shot. People forget about it, I think. All the Islander fans. I have all the Islander fans in the land here before it's all over, and I'm cool with that. I can talk Islanders all day. I don't care. I can talk any team all day. Any team, no matter. 3 deep. Now we got to talk some Boston because Boston's playing tomorrow. I won't tell you who I got to win. I don't know. I got Tampa to win that, but I'm afraid of it because I think Boston's going to be coming out hardcore. And Boston's going to be coming out hardcore after a 7-1 loss. Can you guys see me? Because it says my connection's unstable. Please wait. We're reconnecting. Okay. Um, that's going to be a friggin' beast of a game tomorrow for sure. Boston's not, I mean, this is Boston we're talking about. They do not back down from nothing. Do I think Connor McDavid would be a good? I think Connor McDavid would be a pretty good fit for just about any team. I'm pretty sure that's tongue in cheek. Yeah, I think he'd be. I don't think there is a team that he would not be a good fit for. Just imagine if Connor McDavid played with Ovechkin. Oh yeah, Charlie McAvoy's from your town. He was. I thought he was going to be more offensive than he is, but man, is he a damn good defenseman, anyways. Yeah, I think Connor McDavid. Just imagine Connor McDavid playing with Ovechkin in Washington. What? That would be just stupid. Uh, but even for the Flyers, who would he play with? Giroux or uh, pretty much anybody. Yeah, he would be insane on the Philadelphia Flyers. Flyers would win the cup for sure this year, no doubt about it. If he played for what most teams in the league, maybe not all, but most. Just imagine if he would have went to Buffalo like he could have that year. What would have happened? Probably wouldn't have been much different than what he's been doing in Edmonton, missing the playoffs all the time. So Charlie McAvoy's from Long Island. Are you from Long Island, Kevin? Forgive me if I forgot. I thought Charlie McAvoy was from Boston. I thought he was a Boston kid. He's from Long Island? Oh. It has, yeah. Just imagine I've been a Flyers fan and an Oilers fan for the last decade. Just imagine that. You want to talk about suck? Pick two teams in the league and they both suck constantly. Yeah. Yeah, it's not fun. At least we have Carter Hart now though. If Edmonton had Carter Hart, who need a goaltender there in Edmonton. Got to do something about that. Got to do it. I'm pretty sure that Holland will be doing something about that, but I hope it's not what I think he's going to do. If he's going to get Holtby, I'll be like pissed, especially if he gives him a shitload of money. I just have a feeling Holtby's from the Alberta area. I think Calgary will screw that up. I think Calgary. Holtby at this point is probably no better than Talbot. I I, I bet you Calgary's going to screw that up. You're going to go out and get Holtby to play with Talbot. Hopefully. 76. Yeah. Yep. Or Toronto Maple is 67 last time they won a cup. So it's getting not fun. Isles have been a long time too. Not quite as long as both those teams, but long enough for if you're one of those fans for sure. Then there's at least we have some teams that have won cups. Could be the Vancouver Canucks or uh, uh, who else is there? Well, Anaheim hasn't been around long enough, but no, Anaheim won a cup. What am I talking about? Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo Sabres. Wow, long, long time. Dallas Stars, but no, they won. Dallas Stars. Minnesota. Two organizations still haven't won a cup. That's pretty long. Who else am I thinking? I got to do it. I'm trying to do it off the top of my head. Typical Boston fan though comes in and just points out how much everybody's teams suck. 3 deep. I think it's funny actually. I'm not saying that meanly at all, but Boston fans like to do that. It's gonna suck if Boston sucks for a long time because the whining will be so severe. Yeah. Oh, they could win this year. But yeah, an expansion team coming in and winning the cup. I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what Seattle is going to look like because they should have, because Vegas could end up being going through a hell of a rebuild once Pacioretty and Stone of them are like in 3-4 years. They could, but they look like they are using quite a bit of an imagination, so they may never do. Red Sox, yeah, yeah. The Cubs were a long time coming too, and that happened. Uh, the Cleveland Browns ever do? They're like talking about organizations that went forever without a cup. Uh, Pittsburgh Pirates will probably go for eternity. Uh, like now, the parity in baseball is so bad that Seattle and KC, like what they have to do to win is ridiculous because the parity is so bad in that league now. There'll be lots of teams that have gone ages without a pennant. Hate the Yankees, yeah, that sucks because the Yankees are going to be amazing almost all the time. They have the most money for the best scouts, the best pitching coaches, the best everything, and they can get any undrafted kid they want. They can yeah, they're worse than the Bengals and Browns. I'm not a huge NFL fan. What? I didn't even know that. They won one playoff game since 1966. Yeah, that's got to be the worst franchise ever. My God. Yeah, I can't say there's a hockey that is that bad that consistently. Buffalo right now would probably be close, but not that bad. That is really bad. At least Buffalo made it to the finals one year. Yeah, it would be absolutely horrid being a Lions fan for sure if that's the case. My gosh. I was like being a Leafs fan when I was a kid. Oh, it's pathetic. Every day you wake up and Russ Courtnall's getting traded for Court or some fucking thing. Oh, it's disgusting. Yeah, I stopped being as soon as I was old enough to know what the world was, I was like, yeah, I'm not a Leafs fan anymore. Fuck that. Yeah. People are like, well, you gotta love your team. Well, I don't love that's not my team, so I don't care if I live in Toronto or not. A team can't be that bad for that long. Like, there's a point where you just gotta be like, "You know what? No." Cleveland Browns, I thought was worse, but no, he's right. If that's the case, the Lions gotta are the worst. Have the Cleveland Browns even made the playoffs? How many times have they made the playoffs since 1966? Yeah, well, I mean, what else are you gonna do in Cleveland? At least at least they won a championship in basketball, right? James went there. That was pretty cool of James to do that. 2002. Cleveland's a small market though too, right? Detroit's not. That's the thing. Like, Toronto was the center of the universe for hockey, and in the early '80s, they were just absolutely pathetic, pathetic for such a long time. And then, even when they were good, they still haven't won a cup since '67. And this is supposed to be the model franchise of hockey. Not the way it's run now. I mean, Knicks have got to be the worst. Well, it was between the Knicks and the Clippers, wasn't it, for a while there? But the Clippers now have turned things around. Can't really call them a bad franchise now, but the Knicks are just bumbling idiots. Like, everything that they do is turns shit or we're shit right from the beginning. It's brutal, 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 brutal. Buffalo Sabres are like then turning into the Knicks of NHL hockey, but they got a long way to go yet before they have can put that mark on them. Like, some franchises, like they're small market teams. What are you gonna do? Just do the best you can, right? But Detroit, like, there's no excuse there. That's for sure. In hockey, the worst big market team in hockey, where they have a market that they should be able to win. Let me think about that. Well, I mean, it can't be Detroit. Like, now, like, Detroit's rebuilding and has bungled their rebuild for the last. Just imagine being a Detroit sport fan in general, the last like 5 years at least. Like, oof, the Tigers have been not good. Pistons, meh. And then Red Wings have been absolutely pathetic. And of course, you just mentioned the Lions. So, yeah, that's brutal. I think Toronto. Toronto would be the biggest market. Leaf. Oh, that is crazy. Wow. Yeah, I see what Toronto's doing, though. They're building they're building a power team over time. But the whole point was the only way they could have did what they were trying to do was the cap had to continue going up. The pandemic really fucked their system of what they were trying to do. Now, now they're gonna have to well, like, they traded Kapanen for that 3,000,000 cap space. I get this sick feeling they're gonna go after Peter Angelo, and I don't think that's the right thing to do. Again, they're loading up Jake Muzzin, uh, Riley, and Peter Angelo would be a pretty sick top 3, but after that, they're just shit, and we've seen how many times if you don't have depth on your defense, you never win a cup. That's insane. Brady's the best, eh? Best all time. Incredible. And I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put it past him. Who knows? Underestimating those great, super amazing players in any team, any sport is not a wise thing to do. Like James will do things that will always blow your mind. Whenever you think he's can't do something, he'll do it. And Brady's one of those, definitely in that echelon. Crosby, uh, and then like superhero coaches like Tortorella just keep on doing shit that just like what? I didn't like the Tavares contract to begin with. You already had Kadri there. You see what Kadri's doing in Colorado this year? What was wrong with Matthews and Kadri? No discussion. What was wrong with Matthews and Kadri? Nothing. Then they could have put their D. They could have put money into their D, and kept their wingers like Kapanen and stuff like that, and had a deep team. And had actually, I wouldn't have kept Kapanen. I would have got somebody that can play physical, some players that can play physical on their top lines. They're trying to make a team where physicality doesn't matter, and the only way you can do that is if you don't have a cap. You can do that, but you got to have like superstars all through your lineup, or stars all through your lineup. Yeah, I know. That is crazy. Lyles caught a break with what? Oh, JT contract? Um, I don't know. JT and Barzal would look pretty good right now. I don't think it was too long of a contract for certain teams. I think it was not necessary for Toronto. Um, that was the problem. We already had Matthews in the cap world. Having JT and Matthews was too expensive. It's too much. Like Pittsburgh got lucky not lucky, I guess you'd say. They did well keeping Malkin and Crosby at reasonable contracts that they could fill out a roster with. But JT and Matthews, and then Marner, taking up 30 some odd million of your cap already before you even get started, and then throw Nylander in there. And now you're trying to fill out the rest of your roster. Tall order for sure. Yeah, I think he's contracts till is it till he's 35? Oh, you always make me have to look shit up. Kevin Serling. You you who's here? I think he's 29. And he's got, yeah, it's still he's 35. It's not that bad. It's just $11 million a year. That's $11 million for your top two centers, 22 million, and it's. I wouldn't have did it. I wouldn't have did it. I think the Islanders, once they get rid of Boychuk and Ladd's contracts, can set themselves up pretty darn good to have a good deep team. Barzal reaches his top end. He's probably looking at like a 90-point player there. Yeah, Tom Brady's like the Wayne Gretzky of hockey, I would have to say. I mean, I'm not a huge NFL football fan, but if Tom Brady's throwing the football, I like to watch, especially in the playoffs, because I've never seen anybody when the pressure's on throw like that. Except for the new fellow, Mahomes. Mahomes is very Brady-like. That's why I picked him. I couldn't believe people were picking Indy that year. I don't know what people were thinking. It was Chiefs all the way, like for sure, no doubt about it. Garoppolo couldn't do anything outside the pocket. He's a good he throws well. They had a good running game and they had a great defense. That was the thing. People thought the defense was going to, but Mahomes just has too much. He has too much he can do. It's like Brady. He can run the ball even better than Brady. There's so many plays that Mahomes can do to throw you off, and his passing is exquisite. It's incredible. He's gonna win. I think he's gonna push Brady for a lot of records, as long as they can keep a decent team around him. We'll see. But wow, just amazing talent. Can't beat Eli. The worst quarterback to win a Super Bowl, from what I understand. Just all he had to do, he was just he might as well had a ball retriever back there, just passing the ball over to somebody to run it. Yeah, he can't scramble like Mahomes. Mahomes is insane. Insane. I don't know how many quarterbacks could though. I know Darren Flutie. Flutie was a great scrambler. Young. You don't know about what? The worst quarterback to win a Super Bowl? Who is the worst? Is that what you're saying? Who is the worst quarterback to win a Super Bowl? It's a good question. Who is the worst? Accomplished by, what do you mean? By record setting? Wayne Gretzky. It's not even close. But I have a feeling that if Mario Lemieux would have played, as far as like cup wins, we had those Montreal guys that won like 9 cups. Like Montreal teams won like 9 cups because back then they were able to take the first French Canadian in the draft and stuff like that. And they had great teams. Uh, it's got to be like Lafleur, um, Beliveau, Gordie Howe. Gordie Howe, yeah, yeah, because he played so long. He definitely was on had the most wins, played in the most winning games for sure because he played till he was 50 years old. Scored 20 goals as a 50-year-old man. Like that is just unbelievable. That's why people say who's the best of all time. I don't know. You can make a case. I don't argue with anybody. Wayne Gretzky says Gordie Howe is the best all time to this day. And that's people think Wayne Gretzky is the best all time. I mean, you can make a damn good case for Mario Lemieux. He had a shortened career. Henri Richard, that's who I was thinking. Yeah, Henri Richard, the pocket rocket. That's who I was thinking of. And those cup teams by Montreal kind of come with an asterisk, though, because they had a lot of advantages. But a cup is a cup is a cup. They won. So, yeah, Henri Richard was on the Montreal Canadiens team that won 5 cups in a row. They were powerhouses back then. They had Ken Dryden as their, I believe was that Gump Worsley or Ken Dryden as their goaltender? Might have been both. Yeah, they won like 11. Oh, I was looking that up. Trying to look it up here now. It's taking forever. My internet is so slow. Jacques Plante, 55 to 60, won 5 in a row. Ken Dryden won 4 in a row and won 6 cups, 75 to 79. Yeah, Brodeur played on some pretty strong Montreal teams. The sad part about Brodeur is he's always lumped in with that team that played the worst, like the most awful defensive system ever. That's the problem. The New Jersey Devils back then in the clutch and grab time of hockey, it was horrible hockey to watch. They took advantage of that clutch and grab as much as they possibly could. They basically made it like, and they used it to their ultimate advantage, which is what I guess you're supposed to do. Watch. Terrible. I remember my dad used to scream at the TV like, "This isn't hockey. This is gross. You're ruining the game." Yeah. Yeah, it was happening because it was happening because they expanded too fast and they didn't have enough talent. So what Gary Bettman did was said, tell the refs, like let them clutch and grab. So let slow, like terrible, terrible, terrible rosters, all of them. Anaheim Mighty Ducks and the San Jose Sharks when they first came in the league were pathetic. They were terrible. I can't even think of like some of the names that they had on their roster. Archers, I know Pat Falloon, who unfortunately had a coke addiction, who's second player picked after Eric Lindros. And he ended up working on his dad's farm like 6 or 7 years after. Went to Europe, did shit there. He just totally fell. Well, where wins matter the most, probably ratio of wins to losses. Like if to a goaltender, wins are calculated, right? Like generally speaking, they don't really talk about players, how many wins a player has. I haven't really looked at it, but goaltenders for sure. His win to loss ratio has got to be the greatest. Well, not of all goaltenders, but for how many wins he has and how many games he played, it's got to be because New Jersey was a strong team the whole time, not just because of Brodeur, but because the team was always strong. Like, yeah, they only really count wins for goalie. But it's an interesting stat, and I imagine Gordie Howe would have played. Mark Messier has got to be up there. Mark Messier seldom played for any losing teams. Yager, yeah, up there for sure. He did play for some poor teams though, but not too many, and he played a hell of a long time. But you got to remember, Yarmir Yager went to Russia for a couple of years and came back, so he probably wouldn't be up there. But, probably not. No. You got to figure Michael Jordan has probably played up there with the most wins in the most winning games. But some LA Lakers, Kobe Bryant or Magic Johnson or Larry Bird. A lot of winning seasons for those two. I'd say Mark Messier's got to be right up there. He won 6 cups. He played almost all the teams he played for were great. Yeah. Probably that's out of my league, I think, to say who that would be. I'm just gonna get water. I'll be right back. Nobody answered that while I was gone. All-American lacrosse player, really? There's a lot of guys like that played multiple sports and could have played professionally in each one, but I don't know who they all are. I think Nurse could have played football. His father is part owner of the Buffalo Bills, or is high end manager of the Buffalo Bills, or something like that, from the Oilers. There's a lot of players that could have played more than one. I'm just trying to. I can't remember who they are. Like, none of them are coming to my head now. They could have played more than one. Who was it in baseball that just went over from football or something like that? Like, there's been a couple players that have actually played both professional leagues and made it to the top. I know Jordan tried, but he played in the minor leagues. But what other players were there that played both in the NFL and or the NBA and or the Major League Baseball? I can't remember who they are. I know there's been a few, but that's pretty incredible. Especially I don't know, like playing anything and Major League Baseball, because Major League Baseball, it's so hard it's a skill that is just too incredible. Hitting a baseball is ridiculous. It's like almost impossible. And to do it as well as they do, it's insane. It's probably the most skilled skill in sports. I'm a huge hockey fan, but I don't think there's anything in hockey that you do that takes the skill that it does to hit a baseball. 90 mile an hour baseball coming at you from whatever angle, like, and you're hitting it with a friggin' bat this big and timing it like that. It's insane. It's crazy. I'm losing people. Yeah. Is lacrosse big in Canada? It's bigger in Canada than it is anywhere else. But would I say it's big in Canada? No. Like, lacrosse is not on our sports channels. You don't watch lacrosse and then a hockey game afterwards on Sportsnet. It's only really big because it was like the original sport of our native people. And then Native Indians played lacrosse, and we took it, and people like it, but is it big? No, it's not big. Soccer's bigger. Tennis is bigger. Like, I can name a lot of sports that are bigger than lacrosse as far as popularity is concerned. You don't see kids walking around with lacrosse or playing lacrosse in the streets or anything like that. Yeah. Surprises people when you say that because it was our national sport for years. Now it's lacrosse and hockey. Really, our national sport is hockey. No doubt about it. That is by far the most popular sport in Canada. And then NFL football would be second, I think. But basketball is catching up pretty fast. People, we love our Raptors. And, the Jays have always been big, but I think basketball is growing faster here than any other sport right now. Maybe soccer, actually. Soccer and basketball are growing really fast in Canada. But hockey will always really truly be our national sport. Hello? Thought my wife said something there. So, when we were talking about Islanders, I almost forgot what I was going to talk about today. We talked about the Leafs for a while. What would I do if I was a Maple Leafs? I'd honestly trade Mitch Marner. You can't trade Tavares. Nobody's going to take that contract now, I don't think. And not only that, you practically begged him to come over to Toronto. You did everything to get him over there. To trade him now would really affect how you would get another free agent. And that's what a lot of people don't understand when people make trades and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm still awake. um, when like a lot of teams, you'll wonder why didn't they trade that player or why don't they trade that player? How come they don't trade that guy because he's getting older and stuff like that? The free agent market is a difficult market to wade in, and it's important. You're always going to need to sign free agents to fill holes. And if you have a reputation as an organization of not treating players well, like for instance, how Buffalo is starting to look with some of the ways that they've treated their players, like O'Reilly, for instance, um, it hurts you. Well, first of all, they would. Lundqvist has a no trade clause. Lundqvist has a no trade clause, and he won't. He won't. Yeah, that's the reason why. Otherwise, Lundqvist would have. This has a no trade clause, and he won't waive his no trade clause. So it's awkward, and really, Lundqvist should just do that. But that being said, you have a no trade clause for a reason. He has family. He has everything. I mean, who am I to judge? I think it has made it awkward, but there could be serious family reasons why he doesn't trade his no trade clause, and he has every right to do that. I know he obviously loves New York and all that. So 8 years. You give Barzal 8 years. 8 years, and you probably will have to do it for 9.5 million at least, maybe 10. Maybe 10. Hope and hope and hope he doesn't beg for more. I wouldn't uh because he's what, 20, how old is he now? 24? Sparzy 24 now? You could give him a bridge contract, I guess, but I wouldn't. I try to sign him, like if you can get him for 9 million a year right now for 8 years, 72 million, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Not even a thought. What are you gonna on a bridge contract? You're gonna give him 7.5? It's 23. I'd love to get him for 9 million right now. 8 years for 9 million. Shusterkin. Everybody butchers the name. And why wouldn't you? It's a tough name. Shusterkin. What about Shusterkin? He's a beast. He's insane. It's the closest thing I've seen since Hasek. He's an incredible goaltender. Him and Carter Hart will be fighting for Vesnas now for the next however many years. Maybe Vasilevsky too, but yeah, he's crazy. What would you do, Kevin? Yeah, what would you do, Kevin? I mean, it's not what you would do; it's what you have to do. If you try to give him less than 9 million a year for 8 years, he would just take a bridge contract for 7.5. Yeah, I mean, if I could get him for 9, it'd be great, but you might not do it. Probably you're right. 8 years for 10 is pretty much what you're gonna have to do. And then he'll be 31. Yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna do? If anybody is worth that kind of money, Barzy certainly is. I love Barzell. Not too many Barzells in the league. People, centers, number one centers like Barzell are like, just go through the league and try to find them. They're not, they're not there. You're in the car watching, getting munchies. I remember those days. Smoke a big fatty and go for a burger. I never. I do everything completely sober now, if you can believe that. Breakfast in bed. So that wouldn't be sativa then, because that wakes you up. They do need someone else. Yeah, I guess whatever. It has to be for me. I'm an addict, so I can't do it. So it'd be nice if it wasn't. I'd like to have a beer and stuff like that, but I can't do it. They've taken my drinking privileges away. I have removed my drinking privileges. No, it's not sativa. Sativa keeps you awake. It's indica. It's indica. Yeah. Northern Lights, yeah. Northern Lights are pretty awesome. But I mean, for the Islanders, if they could get Hoffman, but I hear Montreal's going hard after. You like the Red Wings? What do you mean the Red Wings? Are you seriously a Red Wings fan, Elliot? I thought you were a Philly fan. What are you doing? Uh, Hoffman from Florida would be awesome, but I hear Montreal's going to go hard after him. But yeah, you won't be able to do that. But I'll go for a beer with you one day. I can go where there's beer. Just I don't need to drink it. I'm fine with that. We'll go to a hockey game together. My whole point of doing all of this stuff is I want to be able to travel everywhere and see everybody. I want to become My intention is to get sponsors and travel everywhere and see everybody and do videos together and TikToks and all that kind of stuff like that and see games and yeah, I mean, I'm not anti-Detroit Red Wings at all. I mean, Stevie Eisenman's my favorite player of all time. I love Stevie Eisenman. Favorite hockey personality of all time. Genius general manager, genius hockey player. Oh, just amazing. Amazing. And that's what I want to do. Everybody, I'll go see in Long Island and all those places. I want to do it for sure. I will. I'm going to do that. I need more than 6 people watching my live, though. So I'll have to do a little work on that. Probably a few more than 485 followers. Uh, but when we get the website going, there could be some big things going on there. So Kane, Kane. No doubt about it. Patrick Kane is the best American hockey player of all time. No doubt about it. Oh, that's a good favorite player to have. I've met Wayne Gretzky. He's one of the nicest people you'll ever want to meet. My dad used to own a landscaping business, and we used to go drink at a place called the Point After. And it was kind of a half divey place, but a lot of wealthy people would go there. It was like a club. That's why my dad would go there because a lot of his clients would go there. And every once in a while, Wayne Gretzky would drop in there. It was owned by uh, Edmonton Eskimos player, and his name is not coming to my head right now, but it wouldn't matter. You guys wouldn't know him anyways. CFL player, and I guess he knew Wayne Gretzky. And every once in a while, Wayne Gretzky would drop in there because people would leave him alone there. People would leave him alone there. Uh, and not that he didn't like people, but sometimes you don't want to be bothered, right? And a figure like him, it's hard to find a place for people aren't going to be asking for autographs and all that kind of stuff like that. And he would go there every once in a while, and most of the time, if you saw him, and I only saw him in there 3 times, he would just sit and have like 4 or 5 beer, get a cab, and go. But the one time, and the last time I saw him there, he got talking, and he was talking to everybody, and he was like 4 beer, and Wayne Gretzky was under the table already, and he got talking to people, and I swear to God, you never would have like you almost forgot he was Wayne Gretzky. He would just never like he just never had a personality that seemed like he was a celebrity of any kind. It was weird thinking that he was a celebrity. He was just such a great person, such a nice person. Oh, sweet. Wonder what that's worth now. Probably what 5,000, 6,000, something like that. If it's a right card, I don't know. It's got to be worth quite a bit. Those rookie cards. I remember how many I had. I destroyed them all. We never knew they were going to be worth anything. We never thought about them being worth anything. Do you feel like Chick-fil-A now? Oh, you feel like having Chick-fil-A. That's pretty huge there, right? No, he's not tall. He's like 6 foot, 5'11", 6 foot, something like that. Average. And not and skinny. Like he never looked like a hockey player at all. Especially when he was young, like people are like, who the hell is this kid? He's gonna get destroyed. And No, he definitely didn't get destroyed. He was pretty like yeah, I had a lot. Yeah. Hey, 3 Deep, how you doing, buddy? Talking about times when I met Wayne Gretzky. Yes, I did play hockey. We don't have Chick-fil-A's here in the Canada. We have Popeyes is our big one here. Yeah, he was a pretty skinny guy. He was just so smart. Wayne Gretzky was the most intelligent player, and Stevie Y's right up there, but Wayne Gretzky was by far the most intelligent player that ever played the game. Nobody thought the game like Wayne Gretzky. Like, it was unbelievable. Yeah. Our big place here is called Popeyes. People like Popeyes chicken here. Our KFC is horrible here. And our A&W is really good, and I hear A&W in the United States is terrible. The highest hockey IQ ever, except for maybe Bobby Orr. They're about maybe the same, but nobody was high. Mario Lemieux, Mario Lemieux is incredible. Mario Lemieux was the most naturally talented hockey player I'd ever seen, for sure. Just natural, pure talent. I mean, you can make a case he was the best player ever, and I couldn't argue with you. Say Bobby. I don't know. I don't know. It's so hard for me to say. I think Bobby Orr. If you tie me down, I'll say Bobby Orr because he revolutionized the game. But then Wayne Gretzky revolutionized the game in a lot of ways. So I mean, it's really hard to say. The thing was, Bobby Orr was the best defensive and offensive player of his generation. Nobody else can say that. The closest would be Crosby. Wayne Gretzky wasn't a bad defensive player either, though. I mean, it's not like Wayne Gretzky cherry picked or didn't take care of his defensive duties. He did. And then there's Mark Messier. No way. Mark Messier didn't get too much credit. No. I don't agree with you, Elliot. I think. Well, so did Wayne Gretzky. Have a great team and goaltender, right? He did go to LA and he did well there, but I think that's just so happens that Mark Messier had a great team. Um, I don't think he's overrated at all. I think he's top 10 best players of all time. No, Mike Bossy's not overrated at all. Mike Bossy, Mike Bossy, Ovechkin, best shots of all time. Wayne Gretzky, Gretzky, Bossy. What was I? Mike Bossy's shooting has got the highest shooting percentage of all time, doesn't he? Like his shot was insanely accurate. Like he's not overrated at all. No, not at all. Maybe underrated, actually, if anything. Well, a lot of the Islanders are underrated, right? What is that? It's just because they're a smaller market team, like they're the other New York team. Best breakaway player. Oh, okay, you're 25, so you're asking to oh, you're asking because you don't know because you didn't grow up in that era, okay. No, he wasn't overrated. I didn't know you were 25, okay. Best breakaway player, Pavel Bure. Top of my head, Pavel Bure. Pavel Bure is the only player that I saw could handle the puck at uh, up until McDavid, Pavel Bure was the player that s skated the fastest and handled the puck at the same time. Them and maybe Mario Lemieux with the puck on. What I'm trying to say is was the fastest with their puck on the stick, and then McDavid came and blew everybody away. Clutterbuck. Who do you think's the best breakaway player? Kevin, you can just go with your own era. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I would say Pavel Bure is the best. Okay, is that what you were gonna say, Pavel Bure? I never saw the guy. I mean, the guy's hands were insane. Pavel Bure's hands were insane. He drove coaches crazy apparently because he would show up for games like 5 minutes before game time sometimes, and practices too, and he was the first one off the ice. And, the reason why that was that, he was heavy into charity and stuff like that, and he had a busy life outside of hockey, and the coaches would get upset, but he was amazing. When that guy went end to end with the puck, it was so amazing to watch. N no, I never well, I was like 4, 4 years old when they won the cup. Thanks, 3 Deep, for reminding me. I love Boston fans, right? Boston Bruins fans are great. Always reminding people how much their teams suck. Sedin, yeah, Enrique or Daniel. Daniel Sedin. It's just a name I made up. I'm 47 years old. I was born in '72. Father's RT, what's that all about? Brothers, oh, brothers, yes. Yes, Daniel and Enrique Sedin, the 2 twins. They're twin brothers. Brian Burke was a general manager in Vancouver when they were being drafted, and he came out before the draft and said, "Somebody may get one of the brothers, but nobody's getting both of them but me." And he ended up trading up further and getting both brothers. Yeah, I was alive. Your girlfriend's 47? Okay. My wife is 47. We're both the same age. So give me some more of those questions. Who's the best of blah, blah, blah? Older. We're older. I'm not old. I'm not old till I die. Old is a state of mind. Bet he was happy. Oh gosh, there's a good question, Kevin. Who's the best fighter ever? Wow, that is tough. I know Barnaby said he mentioned two players. The one that comes to mind, he said that he would never fight. One of them was Tony Twist. Wayne Gretzky is the best passer of all time. Second best could be Mary Lemieux. Yes, we're talking about hockey. We were talking about football earlier. Wayne Gretzky was the best passer of all time. No doubt about it. No question. Nobody would ever argue it. Nobody should ever argue it. The best fighter, Matthew Barnaby, who I love. Matthew Barnaby is one of my favorite players of all time because he was such. Matthew Barnaby. I think Matthew Barnaby was the toughest player of all time because he was only like 5'11" and 185 pounds, and he fought like everybody. Guy was fucking crazy. Absolutely nuts. But if you mean tough by like who can beat you up the most, he Matthew Barnaby said he would never fight Tony Twist. Said Tony Twist was an absolute psycho. He would never fight Tony Twist. And there was another one too, and I can't remember who it was now. Tony Twist, and there was another one, Ted. Barnaby was I don't know. Hey, how you doing, Lauren Darkin? Welcome. Welcome to our fine surroundings here, Pearlo Wisdom Industries. We're talking about who is the best fighter of all time. Bob Probert, Tony Twist, and there was another one, Link Gates. The guy should never have been on skates. Link Gates. Overrated player of all time. Wow, that is tough. Who is the most overrated player of all time? That is a great question. Hello, Lauren. We're talking. Welcome to Alive. I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago takes Askarov if he's there. They don't have much goaltending in their system. What's Chicago picking this year? 6th, 7th? No, Jersey 7th. No, Chicago made the playoffs, so they're picking like 16th. They're not going to see Askarov. Askarov's not going to be there. I think defensemen are toughest. Goalies stop pucks with shitloads of, but defensemen block shots with what? Like, it's fucking crazy. They put their ankles there. I think defensemen are the toughest in the league. Keep on. I haven't even come up with the most overrated of all time. Who is the most overrated player of all time? I mean, I can't go all time because I can only go from what I can remember. Oh, that is a tough question. You're gonna have to let me think about that one for a while. The dirtiest player of all time. Wendell Clark might have been. Wendell Clark was pretty fucking dirty. And I'm a Philadelphia Flyers fan. What was that guy that played for Minnesota Wild and Pittsburgh Penguins, I think it was, and he oh, how about Stevens from New Jersey? I mean, he overrated player. Does anybody rate Mike Milbury as high anywhere? Best player to never win a cup. Marcel Dion. Off the top of my head, I'd say Marcel Dion or Rogie Vachon. Scott Stevens was crazy dirty. He never would have made it in this league. Marcel Dion, I think, would be. I could say you could say Scott Stevens maybe as the most overrated player of all time. Um, I'm having a hard time with the most overrated player of all time. That's a tough one because it's going to have to be somebody that like people rate extremely high, like top 20 in the NHL that ever played the game, or top 50 or something like that. Oh man, that is a tough one. Yeah, and then his brother Gilbert Dion, who apparently was lazy as fuck. Keith Primo, the most overrated of all time. Oh, Craig Janney. Craig Janney was overrated. Craig Janney was. Well, I don't think anybody rates Yashin all that overrated. Craig Janney, maybe. Craig Janney was soft as hell. Couldn't play defense worth shit. I, I think people. Well, I mean, most people will put Marcel Dion as in the top 10 all time, top 15 for sure. I don't know. Well, Semin just. I don't know. I think most people rate him as not very good. So Nash is a good one. Nash is a good one. His career went south pretty fast. Yeah, that's not a bad pick. Right now, I'd say Johansson in Nashville, although it's getting to the point where people are realizing he's not really that great. No, I don't think he's overrated. He was a great captain, played for bad teams. Pearlo, what? What about it? Luke Robitaille overrated? He was slow. He had a great shot though. Mike Comrie. Mike Comrie was pretty overrated. Oh, okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say he was overrated. Let's look up. No, you can put that if you want. I'm not putting big units on Tampa after they blew out Boston. No way. Oh man, PK. PK was great, but his window was small. Now it doesn't. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it looks like his it's not going anywhere but down now. Adam Graves, there's a good one. I'm looking him up right now. I do not think Roberto Luongo is overrated. I thought he was a great goaltender on a lot of bad teams, but he did fuck up the finals for Vancouver. So I don't know. And he handled that whole Vancouver situation really well. Um, Michael Renberg played on the Legion and Doom line. He was the other guy on that line with John LeClaire and Eric Lindros. Eric Carlson. There's an argument. You're going to bring that one up, aren't you? I think he's overrated now, but when he played on a broken ankle and pretty much ruined his future for being as good as he was before. Before that, I don't think he was overrated. Yeah, I mean, Roberto Luongo, yeah, you can make a case. Well, he was overrated by Montreal since he was the replacement for Patrick Waugh. So, I mean, yeah, he didn't pan out. I'm looking at some of the overrated players. Thomas Caberlet, I'd say that's true. Thomas Caberlet was overrated. Yeah. Chris Drury, I agree with that. He, he wasn't an elite player, but he was a good leader and stuff like it's hard. Danny Heatley is they'll say Danny Heatley is overrated. He was a 50 goal scorer. The problem is he liked to party too much. He got out of shape and he ended his career. You know, everybody knows that. So nobody rates that higher than what it is. It's true. You saw it. He fell apart. Vincent Lecavalier, I agree. The Vincent Lecavalier never would have been a player if it wasn't for Tortorella. And that's what pretty much anybody that knew that situation would tell you. A lot of people think like a lot of people put Chris Drury up there as a like star player. He was a complimentary, good leader type player. That's what he was. But I think at the time, people thought Chris Drury was a lot better than really he was. So I think that's a fair assessment. I think you can put Chris Drury as overrated. Ryan Miller, he played great for Buffalo. He just played for bad Buffalo teams. And then not only that, he's taking over for Dominic Hasek. So he's going to look pretty, in comparison, yeah, he would seem overrated. Matt Duchene, there's a good one. That, I think you just hit the nail on the head there, buddy. Matt Duchene might be the most overrated player ever. Maybe. No, neither one of those people are overrated. They're superstars, and they should be considered superstars because they are superstars. I like Matt Duchene because Matt Duchene was drafted twice by general managers paying way too much for what he's worth. He had some good seasons in Colorado, and then it quickly deteriorated from there, and nobody saw it happening. I think Matt, that was a good one, buddy. I like that one, Matt Duchene. Oh, here's a good one, Marty Turco. For Kevin Serling, he's not going to know who the fuck I'm talking about. Well, he was overrated when he was drafted. Yeah, I remember when he was drafted. I didn't get why people thought Stefan was as good as he was. Same as Alexander Day. Apparently, Alexander Day, when they did the what, yes, Dallas Star goal. Yeah, they. I never. Yeah, I'd say he was a little bit overrated. I would say Chris Groton. Sheldon Surrey. I knew his dad, Sheldon Surrey. He's from Alberta. That's a good one. He was okay. He wasn't. That's what I mean. He was an average goaltender as a number one, but people sometimes he used to toot his own horn a lot. Mike Vernon, yeah, you can make a case that he was overrated. Yeah, yeah. Chris Osgood, he won cups, but then when he went to the Islanders, he looked average at best, and he really always did. Maybe a little better than average. Oh my gosh. Vincent LeCavalier, yeah, we already said that. I was just telling the story about that. People that played with Tampa Bay at that time, including Martin St. Louis, said that if it wasn't for Tortorella, Vincent LeCavalier would have been out of the league a lot sooner than he was. LeCavalier didn't like to work hard, and Tortorella forced him. He practically beat it into him. And then as soon as Tortorella left, Vincent went back to being what he was before. He liked the ladies and all that kind of stuff like that, and didn't like working out much and taking care of himself and what the way you need to be in the league. And he was a 50 goal scorer. But yeah, No, I don't think Mike Keenan was overrated. He was just different. He was different. I don't know, maybe. It's weird. I didn't like the way Mike Keenan coached. I didn't like the way he coached. Some people say that he was the best coach they ever had. Some people say otherwise. It's hard to say. I think the most overrated coach of all time is the I always forget his name. Mike Babcock. Mike Babcock is the most overrated coach of all time, I think. If I think a little longer, I might come up with another one, but I would say Mike Babcock. He was overrated. Well, he got injured, badly injured, apparently. My least favorite Islander. Oh, Rick DiPietro, yeah, because he ruined your cap for years. Yeah, completely overrated. Jack Capuano. I don't think anybody rates him highly though. So I look up overrated coaches up on Google, and Babcock comes up everywhere. So I guess a lot of people agree with me. I've been saying that for a long time. But I mean, going in the past, oh, you're making me think too much at this time of night. Overrated coaches. New York Islanders. Who? I have no idea what that you're talking about. Connor Bedard and Matt Michkov? I have no idea. How do I not know that? Oh, 2023? Oh, geez. These must be like super brilliant, like generational guys I haven't heard of yet. Couple of years away. They're like 15. I don't know yet. I mean, look at how many players recently that have been at 14 or 15. They thought they were going to be superstars, and by the time they got up to the draft year, they were not. They were like picked 20th, 15th. So I'd have to check them out. But I think I better hit the sack. I think I better get to bed, guys. I think some of you are going to bed as we speak too. So 11:18, yeah. Top 5 of all time? Yeah, Al Arbor was a great coach. Peace. See you tomorrow night. I'm gonna do some lives while the game's on probably. Maybe in the maybe tomorrow in morning, actually. Why not? We'll do that. Tell everybody about this fine programming. If you haven't hit the subscribe, be much grateful if you did. And I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Take care, man.